For June the 5th, 2015, we talk about Steam returns, Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, and we ask you to prioritize Dark Souls 3, XCOM 2, and Fallout 4. First, a quick apology. I got a new microphone and set it up wrong, so you're going to hear some clipping on my track. I'm sorry, but otherwise, welcome to the 107th level. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Guys, we have so much to talk about here at the head of the episode.
Like what?
We do.
Yeah, well, so David and Dennis, you were over at my place. Am I wrong? Is my new neighborhood not like some kind of magical Disney wonderland of wildlife?
It basically is, yes.
Well, no, I thought you were joking. Like, it was like, that's really cute, Cole. Like, I get you see there's more wildlife. And like, I am not exaggerating. I'm walking out to my car afterwards, and there's just a little cottontail rabbit escorting me there. Like, maybe
it's not even freaking out. It's just kind of, hopping along with us.
I could have sworn I heard her right this way, sir.
I'm late for a very important date.
What do you tip a rabbit, though?
Well, a couple like some greens, I guess. I don't know. No, like when I left for work this morning, I saw 2 robins that were carrying stuff for their nest. I saw 5 squirrels. I saw 3 rabbits, 2 cardinals, and a blue jay.
You need to watch the road, Cole.
I know, right? I ruined so many families. And then an explosion of yellow finches, which was pretty cool.
Wait. How the finches were exploding?
Well, they were startled.
Okay,
that's
I thought maybe this was like a Disney movie, as directed by Michael Bay.
Exactly.
No, it's a murder. It's a murder of crows, and it's an explosion of finches.
Yeah, it's the collective noun.
Yeah, and it's a drunk ship of cobblers.
The bedroom of podcasters.
There we go. Yeah, that's a callback. The next thing is that we're having kind of a meetup, I guess.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah,
we are meeting up, and you guys are welcome if you're there.
Yeah, if you happen to be in the neighborhood. We recognize that even though we have global reach, as the stats confirm, it might not be super easy for people to get to Cincinnati. But on Monday, June the 15th, from 7 p.m. until, let's say, 8:30, we are going to be at Habit's Cafe in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yay!
Yay! And that is a preamble to the Sony Experience, which is part of Sony's E3 extravaganza. Am I wrong?
No, you are not wrong. Yeah. I mean, extravaganza is a bit of a. I feel like you're selling it a bit too hard. It'll be good. But.
Yeah, Sony's come out and said, you know what, we're a little bit light this year, so I'm kind of going to be a little bit curious about what's going on there. But
it could just like last year, which David and I went to. They're promising that there will be bonus content for the people who go to an actual experience versus just streaming it at home.
And this time, cool. And this time I actually own a PS4, so maybe I can use some of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that event is being held at the Cinemark at Oakley Station, and Habits is in Oakley, Ohio, which is my neighborhood, my neck of the woods. And yeah, you can look that up online. We're going to be there. If anybody's going to come, let us know. Dennis, what's the what do we have to offer?
Well, yeah, I mean, the tickets went ridiculously fast, but I was lucky enough to get an extra ticket. So for the first person to just message us on Facebook who's going to be there and wants in, if you don't have a ticket already, let us know, and we've got an extra ticket. We'd love to, get someone else in on this experience and hang out with it.
Have you along. And let me emphasize something just really quickly. Please be cool. Yeah. Oh my God! Like if you can't come, I'm super happy about that. But if you do come, please be cool. I value my privacy and my bodily integrity. But
this isn't be cool as in like you need to get up to our standards of.
I'm not asking you to be the Fonz, but like just please don't fucking stab me.
Wait.
That's what makes it cool in Cole's world.
Yep.
And you made fun of me when my first response to this meetup was, "This is how assassinations happen."
David, I'm being funny. Yeah,
Everyone's laughing now. But when Cole gets shanked, you will no longer have a podcast.
Only some of us will be laughing.
it's always those closest to you. And two, David.
Just saying.
Yes. So let us know on the Facebook if you're going to be coming along. That way we know who to earmark the extra ticket for. But even if you can't show up, Habits is a pretty cool place with some good beer. Excellent fish and chips. Dennis, you called it an ostrich burger?
Yeah,
They
have
have there?
ostrich burger.
Yes.
So called because it's made of ostrich.
Wow. You know, I was wondering about that. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
They used to keep the ostriches out back, but too many people got killed, so now it's a little more removed from the farm to table aspect.
Yeah.
I never
Ostriches
looked
are
at
nasty birds.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never
They'll
looked at them
fucking
the
gutcha.
same way after playing Far Cry.
Yeah, they'll fucking gotcha. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I would love to give this ticket away to someone and someone who listens to the show and hang out. So and like Cole, you said, if you can't be there at the experience, definitely still come to Habits.
Yeah, it is a good place. Just imagine walking distance from Habits. One of my houses is there.
Wait, you own multiple ones now?
Dennis,
Yeah,
it's a misdirection ploy.
He's like the dude in Grand Theft Auto. You have to have multiple safe houses.
Yeah, Oh, guys, I have a new microphone too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Shure SM7B.
Audiophiles, take note.
Yes, audio.
Are you sure?
All you imitators. Yes. Do you guys want to talk about video games?
Sure.
Yeah. So we got the usual the usual comport, the usual three. We've got the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And in that list, we start with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games that surround us. Guys, did you know we are in the world of video games?
No.
Like the Matrix?
Yes. Exactly
In a
like
world
the Matrix.
of video game.
In a world. So, all the biggest stories that happened over the past 3 days, Dennis, you gone and done fucked it up.
I gone and done gave it to the people is what I done and gone.
You fucking Robin Hood and motherfucker. So, if you're thinking, man, these idiots didn't talk about Fallout 4. They didn't talk about Dark Souls 3. They didn't talk about XCOM 2. Like, all of them should love these things. Well, that's going to happen in the multiplayer.
Not only will we talk about them, but you will see us painfully choose between them.
I guess. But, like, is that a hard choice between us?
Nope. For you, maybe not.
Okay, well, it's I guess the right answer is listen and find out.
Yeah.
See, I think it's going to be a different choice for most of us. I'm going to call that now.
Okay, well, yes, but different doesn't indicate hard.
There's some fretting here.
Okay. I mean, for you personally, but I feel like mine fall into pretty even parallel.
Basically, what he's saying is, for someone who's not a true fan, this might be difficult.
A true fan of what, man? Well, let's save that for the actual section, okay? Let's see here. So let's look here. Does anybody have a story they want to volunteer for the first story in the brief?
I got a brief one.
Do it.
All right, they released a new trailer for Rise of the Tomb Raider. Apparently, they're skipping the Dark Tomb Raider and going straight to Rise of the Tomb Raider. But
Tomb Raider Revengeance.
Yeah, it just shows Lara Croft climbing a mountain, entering a tomb, and that's about it. And there's narration, but yeah.
Lara Croft is climbing a mountain. Why is she climbing a mountain?
Now she can die with like icicles as well. They're just skipping the whole tree and water thing. But yeah.
Huh. Why is she climbing a mountain to find a tomb?
But what's in the tomb?
Another mountain.
That's right. Charlie Kaufman directed this video game.
My father's house has many mountains. Yeah, that's so watch this. Like, I haven't, like, all three of y'all have played the new Tomb Raider. I guess not new, it's 2 years old. But
I've played like 15 minutes of it.
Okay.
Oh, so good.
So I don't.
It's not bad. They did a lot of good things with the first one. I have a lot of hope for the second one, but they didn't really show much content outside of a mountain. So,
see, I have a lot of hope for the second one. Mainly, I hope that I get to play it.
did you not get to play the first one?
I don't own a. Isn't this the Xbox exclusive?
So that's the most interesting thing about this to me, is because this was announced as an exclusive to the Xbox 360, but unless I'm mistaken, this is all but confirmed to be a timed exclusive, and eventually it's going to come to your PCs and your whatnots.
Yeah, I think we've said this before, but my understanding was what they specifically said is this is exclusive to Xbox in 2015 or whatever.
So you're just going to play it in Q1 in the Game of the Year edition that's released for the PS4.
Right.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's fine, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play the previous one until a long time after it came out. So I mean,
it seemed like the previous one, the 2013 Tomb Raider, became free like almost instantly. And by free, I mean $7.50 on Steam, which is when I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, it was on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
I don't know the specific time frame from its release, but it was one of the ones where I saw it and was like, oh, that's a good get.
So, do we know anything about this besides Mountain and Xbox?
That's about it. Tombs. There's tombs in it.
Well, think we can be pretty certain that at some point the like OMFG, you're climbing, but the ice is breaking, so you have to platform quickly. It's going to happen.
Well, that'd be cool.
Do we want to take bets on when Lara Croft is bodily injured in the game, like the first time? I'll give it 20 minutes.
Like an over-under pool?
Yeah.
Well,
20 minutes is pretty generous.
Well, I mean, there has to be something that motivates her losing all of her abilities so you can reacquire them.
Frostbite's a bitch.
Yeah. I was going to say, how early into the game will I get control over? Because then I can rig this bet here.
I mean, like a story one that actually has an effect.
I feel like we have to specify, because like one of the things with the previous game was the fact that like just general platforming involved her like routinely taking dives.
Her ankles are made out of sugar bone.
Yeah.
Sugar bone is also my blues man name.
Good to know we don't have to decide the title for the episode.
I'm not gonna lie, I wrote it down. We'll get there at the end, I'm sure.
Cole, anytime we say sugar bone from now on, can you do that on command, please?
Oh yeah. Right. See, it's just like two beats off of my Tom Waits impression. So,
we can actually hear now with your new microphone. Before it would have been indistinguishable.
I suppose, right? Like before, it just sound like low frequency rumble. Oh man. And you got the low roll-off filter on the but let's see here. I'll go ahead and throw in with my story for the brief. Sure. So, despite the fact that Steam has been the biggest retailer for online digital purchases of games, they really haven't had an awful lot of the amenities that a physical location would have, such as returns, right? Although I guess even GameStop doesn't take returns on PC games. This is my way of burying the lead by saying, and avoiding saying rather, that Steam is now going to be taking returns on games that are bought on its platform, with a couple of exceptions, and there are some rules and stuff in place. This has to be within 14 days of the initial purchase of the actual game, and also you can't have played more than 2 hours of the game, right? Before you decide, like, hey, I want to return this kind of thing. And of course, they, I guess not of course, this is actually kind of cool. They said if you go to their little site and initiate the return, they will take it on kind of a case-by-case basis, but those are kind of the heuristics. 2 weeks and 2 hours are the limits. So the idea...
So,
good.
Even if you're outside that window and ask for a return, they'll kind of hear your plea.
I suppose, yeah. Like if you have a reason or whatnot, and I imagine that, they're probably going to lean more towards giving the return than not.
Yeah,
but,
not gonna lie, I'm gonna see if I can get all of my games that I can't play because of Uplay returned.
Can't play because of Uplay.
Uplay doesn't work on my computer.
That's super weird. Like on a Mac?
No, on the PC. Like I started up and it just like has a fatal error and crashes. I've tried uninstalling, reinstalling, downloading.
That's kind of some horse shit. Like if you bought a game you can't play, like let us know if that actually if they issue that. Yeah, because they can tell if you've played it or not.
Right? Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what kind of push this will create though to like manipulate the metadata on your game. Like they have to feel pretty rock solid that someone with the inclination can't go in and tamper.
I think all that's server side anyway. Like I haven't seen an awful lot of people saying, "Hey, here's me playing 5,000 hours of Broken Age or whatever." Like,
See, good. I'd be actually more concerned the other way around. Like, my understanding was that playtime on these games has generally been pretty inaccurate.
On the upside.
I don't know. Well, I guess to be fair, like most of the situations I can think of have been it underestimating, so I guess that's fine. But I don't know. I also wonder, like, if I was a nefarious, company, could I design my game to, over report time?
So is there anything to prevent someone from buying a game, playing it for 2 hours, returning it, then buying a game, then starting off where they left off and playing it for 2 hours, then returning it?
I have no idea, but I can tell that you are a person who
who thinks about do that.
Yeah. No, not that you would do those things, but like that you think about those systems. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I would feel kind of like bummed out if I bought this game, played it, decided I didn't like it, returned it, and then was barred from ever buying it in the future.
You had your chance.
If I was making
made your choice, Cole.
Yeah, if I was making this policy, it'd be like, okay, well, you bought this twice, fool you once, shame on the developer, fool you twice, shame on you.
Yeah.
Like you probably oughtn't have bought this.
Yeah.
The second time.
I think it's great in principle, and I think it'll work really well. I feel very confident saying there are people working right now on how to break this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because it's a system. So people will try and break it.
Well, I think also, though, it seems like, I don't know, like when I read about these things, like case study type things, it seems like a lot of them end up saying like, oh, yeah, like, totally, we just, ended up, we approve all returns, but most people are honest.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's usually the narrative I see, and maybe that's just good business to say that's the narrative. But
that's what I've heard as well. And like when I saw this, I immediately put out a tweet saying like, I really wonder what small developers think of this, right? Because small developers are more at risk for that kind of thing. Like if it's sold. And what I've seen is like like only one kind of indication. But somebody said, hey, Tom Francis had this tweet out there, the guy who developed Gunpoint, saying, yeah, I'm super happy about this because I don't want people giving me money if they don't like my game.
Oh, that's cool.
I wonder did the guy who the people who made the Stanley Parable say anything?
Well,
because I was definitely done with it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, given that you're the only person I've heard say really negative things about that game.
I honestly do not know why I enjoyed that game so poorly, but I really did.
But
it's fine.
It's taste, right? And that would.
It's totally taste. Like, I do not think like I I do not. I can see why people liked it. Like, it's totally tasty.
I kind of wonder, like, how much this has to do, like is early access eligible for this?
Huh.
Like that's the weird thing, right? Because like that's kind of the biggest thing that Steam has been under fire for the past 12 months is like what does early access actually mean for a bunch of these like for a lot of these developers and especially their consumers, right? Can somebody dip into this and say like, oh well, this is actually way too early? Like, does that waive the right? Like, I know that I'm kind of nitpicking details and circumstances for the special situations, but like that's the bigger concern for me because I'm pretty shy about ever dipping into an early access kind of thing. Like, if I pick something up on a sale, whatever, that's my $5, but.
Yeah, I always feel like that's and maybe this is what you're saying. I feel like that'd be a good thing in terms of like, this now frees someone up to try the early access, jump in, and if it's not what they want, get back out. It seems like this could be kind of a net win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was curious about the developers' interest in that, like what their reaction was, and I can't take one person's opinion, even though it's a developer that I really respect. Tom Francis kind of seems to know what he's doing, so that's anecdotal, at the very best, right? Mm-hmm. But it's weird because I want developers to get the money that's coming to them, but also I want consumers to be protected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like the idea of this is with the actual system requirement things. Because like I don't know, maybe this is just me being lazy, but like particularly with like video cards are just crap in terms of figuring out if your video card can run a game.
That's huge, right? Because like Steam will just straight up sell you a game that won't run on your shit.
Right, which is, I mean, understandable considering, like, it's not uncommon for me to, like, buy a game on my Mac, but I'm intending to, actually play on my PC.
I could see that, yeah. But I mean, like, I'm thinking more like, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, right? That's a game.
Oh, okay.
That's a game that if you buy that, like, the system requirements are relatively low. It, came out 11 years ago. But the fact that, the regular unpatched version is basically broken out of the box,
Sure.
If you don't know how to patch that and you just kind of run into it, it's broken out the box, then really there's no reason for you to have bought it in the first place.
That game, if I understand correctly, is has a relatively good amount of content. How long would it take you to realize that this is pretty busted if you didn't have context from the web and all that stuff?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, would it fit within that 2-hour window, or is my understanding is it's like a pretty long game?
It's like a 25-hour game. So
yeah, although that could maybe be a
special case, especially for retro stuff. Like retro stuff, I can see being a hotbed for this.
Yeah. I could see it. There will be some things with like I don't know, like I wonder if this would work for say like MMOs where usually you're kind of not exactly buying the game, you're buying an account.
Mm-hmm. That's another weird thing, right? Like if you again, like basically every MMO is in a perpetual state of early access.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be like I wonder if they might even just say like the 2 weeks starts when early access ends would be one way you could do that.
Yeah. It's an interesting policy change to say the least, and I think that it's a big deal because that they have such a huge like kind of market share. I think it'll take a little while to see how it pans out, but I don't know.
Sure. Can any real world game stores any of them take returns
on PC games? Well, they don't really sell them anymore.
Well, but I mean, like, I'm assuming GameStop won't let me return like a video game if I open it. What?
If it's used, yeah, they'll take it back.
Oh well, yeah, they'll buy it back for 1/8.
Oh no, not
price.
even that. Like like for a straight up like here's a return, like the cashier. So here's a little bit of that. The cashier like will basically make that into an exchange unless you really raise kind of a fuss. If you buy it new, then it has to be a store credit kind of exchange because they're taking a hit on that game being turned from used or turned from new to used. Although they'll probably sell it for new anyway. Yeah. But yeah, if you buy a game new and you try to return it, it's either take the cash value, which is 20% less of the trade-in value, which is in turn much less than what you bought it for. But if you bought it new, you have a little bit of room to play with.
Okay.
Also,
so here's a dangerous thing. Oh, go ahead.
Also, this information is like 4 years old.
Sure.
Hey guys, it's been 4 years since I worked at GameStop. High five. Continue, Dennis.
Well, I was gonna say this could be dangerous for people who have those, enormous backlogs that they've picked up 3,000 games via Steam sales that they're never gonna touch.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see here, Dennis. What's this Hearthstone thing?
Yeah, it's just a fun little tidbit. Hearthstone put out some videos showcasing what every player at some point or another has imagined happening, which is actually putting a couple of the cards or the minions on the cards in an arena together and having them duel it out.
Wait, so they made Yu-Gi-Oh even more nerdy?
Maybe? I don't know. I have no reference for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Did they make the equivalent of Pokemon Stadium, but for Hearthstone?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. But they did this great thing. Yeah, where the guy winds up and charges and starts running at the other guy, and all of a sudden he just kind of floats backwards in midair, and then starts running again, and then floats backwards in midair. And it's the thing that anyone who's played the game has done, which is where you kind of like start dragging the target on, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't, and then drag it forward again, like, should I do that? And then eventually decides to go do something else. But it was just a really, really funny, like I said, capturing of the way I imagine those games playing out in my head. And then they also did a funny follow-up vision of one of the minions giving like a post-game interview, which is it's like an ogre brute, so it's like this big lumpy guy. It's like did you learn anything from today's? What's that?
Nothing.
Oh, but did you learn anything from today's game? No. How do you feel after the loss? Hungry. But then they ask him one more question. He just goes into this, deep analytical, like philosophizing about how the game could have gone differently. Very, very funny. But yeah, it's just a great awareness from the Hearthstone team on just what makes their game so much fun and kind of what's going on in players' imaginations as they're playing. I would love to see this become like a series because I would watch that all day.
That would be cool.
Oh, also great when one of the enemies finally does attack. The way they attack is they just kind of run into each other and explode. Which is the way it works. Like no matter what the two minions are that are fighting each other, you just run one into the other, and if the attack values line up, then they die.
Also, it's a fantastic way to save on animation costs.
Yeah, no kidding.
Says the producer of animation.
Yeah, for a game with I don't know how many cards they have now. It's multiple hundreds of different minions you could potentially play. They have to do that. Like there'd be no way. But yeah, so that's just a fun little thing. I really this is kind of marketing done right, which it's found something that's like fun and entertaining and has value in and of itself to give to people.
Yeah. Huh. Well, this is pretty cool. I mean, it's it definitely clarifies some of the abstractions that Hearthstone itself takes liberties in making.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. David, how about you? What's this hot topic shit?
Yeah, so it turns out the internet, or at least my corner of the internet.
Okay, wait. Okay, before you mention the story, what's your corner of the internet?
The very, very nerdy corner of the internet that cares a great deal and was up in arms and losing sleep that Hot Topic was going to buy ThinkGeek.
So is the argument that Hot Topic isn't fucking asinine enough to like take care of your geeky shit?
Yeah. Sure.
Awfully aggressive there, Sugarbone.
No. I characterize both Hot Topic and ThinkGeek as having a staggering lack of taste. So,
Yeah. Well, there's no accounting for taste.
or lack thereof. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So people were relieved to learn that Hot Topic would not be buying out ThinkGeek, but then immediately horrified to learn that the company that would be is GameStop.
This is like when YouTube was about to buy Twitch and then Amazon bought them. People didn't know what to think.
Yeah, except Amazon's a good company as opposed to being a GameStop.
I mean, they cater to the same audience. Like, I guess they're not so much catering. You think are they going to take in trades of Nerf guns for cubicle warfare? I'm not entirely sure. Are they going to be a pawn shop for one-up signs? I don't really understand. Like, GameStop is basically just fucking pawn shops. So
yeah, it will slowly die as a test and learn that didn't pay out.
Test and learn. Go on.
But like the GameStop's like, well, let's try this, and well, how much did they pay for it? 140 million. Oh, that's a hell of
140 million.
Yeah, that's a hell of a test and learn. Never mind. They're gonna try.
Yeah, I think that's most of their margin, actually. So, yeah, that's super weird. So, David, tell me, because you read more about this than I did. Like, I saw GameStop and ThinkGeek, and then all of a sudden, I just like everything was white noise after that, and I woke up like 5 hours later.
Why the angst here?
What's that? Oh, I just so I think that ThinkGeek produces really cool catalogs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like a ThinkGeek catalog to have in the house to like look at, but the products of theirs that I've ever gotten have not been very good quality, and I think that just in general, and this is just me personally, I've avoided getting anything from ThinkGeek because most of it looks like, hey, look at me. I identify with the things that I like, and therefore I want to show that to people around me to make them think I'm interesting.
To be fair, identifying with the things you like is pretty much the definition of geek. Well, technically, actually, the definition of nerd, but
isn't it just the definition of human?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
everybody identifies with things they like, right?
That is
so cool.
No. So I'm not trying to be hipster here. I'm not trying to be above it all. I identify with the pop culture thing that I like so much that I want my entire physical appearance and being to be anchored to that.
To be fair, that is kind of what the definition of geek. Well, technically, the definition of nerd.
What are the definitions of geek and nerd? Because
I honestly don't know. Make the distinction for me, David, please.
Yeah, the idea is that usually geek is used to mean basically explicitly someone that is nerdy or geeky in terms of being interested in like science, technology, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas nerd is tends to be used more explicitly to mean someone who's geeky or nerdy in terms of like pop culture, so like comic books and things like that.
I've always heard it the other way around. And
is that? Do I have it backwards?
Yeah, like geek is somebody who's like really enthusiastic about something, and nerd is a subset of that, which is more interested in kind of the hard sciences and stuff like that. However, the negative connotations of all of each is somebody who inflicts their enthusiasm on innocent passersby.
What a horrible thing for people to do.
How dare you share your passion with me?
Okay, yes. So I guess I do have it.
Like if there's somebody who's like, hey, you know, like what makes you tick? What do you like? However, if you're walking around wearing like, hey, it's a Firefly t-shirt, guys, look. Then it's like, yeah, it's maybe a bit much, but you know, I'm also a crotchety old fucker, so
maybe a bit.
Yeah.
What's the definition of crotchety old fucker? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so it looks like the internet has spoken and that I got geek and nerd backwards. So
No, it's fine.
apparently I am not a geek about geeks or something.
About language?
No.
About language?
No, you're a geek
Oh.
about geeks, but you're not a nerd about geeks.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. That makes sense.
Yeah.
My head hurts.
But no, I don't know. I to be fair, like I only have interest in ThinkGeek for t-shirts, which in my experience have been fairly decent, but I guess that's kind of a eye of the beholder thing.
I'm sure. And I don't judge anybody who like buys something that they like and if it's good quality and just kind of like, hey, here's this thing. Like it's my own personal choices, but I think that for me, like a lot of my existence is dedicated to A, not being tacky, and B, kind of flying under the radar as regards these things and reading the room and fading into the background when I need to.
That sounds boring.
You want to escape. You want to be able to escape at any possible moment. Sounds like.
Yeah.
I
suffer
think
from a complex of anxiety disorders. Are you judging me?
not at all.
Okay.
Nor am I judging the people who want to wear a Star Trek T-shirt.
Yeah.
I think there is the line for me is, I'm perfectly fine if you want to wear a piece of clothing that kind of like drops a line for someone who might be interested in the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I find a passerby who's interested in Firefly as well, who will recognize the logo when other people might not. Like, I think that's fine. And when you turn yourself into a billboard for Firefly because you are, your identity is in that series, that's a little far. But you need to know the person to be able to judge that in any of those cases.
I suppose, yeah. Man, my entire life is a battle between trying to retain like a modicum of decorum and trying not to judge people for not rising to the standard that I live to.
Good stuff.
Does that mean you judge us for not having a podcast empire ourselves?
Empire. No. But
Podcast them, please.
It's tough, right? Like like Gary and Nick and I, we joke about having the terrible T-shirts for you assholes company, and just like we come up with just awful T-shirts, like Thwomp. There it is. Which is just a Thwomp from Mario with some hammer pants dangled loosely beneath it. Stuff like that. Like that. Like there's a certain amount of that that's goofy, and I understand. Like if you are trying to let your freak flag fly in order to get into a conversation about this thing that you really enjoy. Right, that has had some impact on your life. Like none of us here are above like this piece of culture. And I'm not even going to say pop culture or whatever, but like this piece of culture that has had some kind of impact on the way we look at the world, or this an impact on the way that we live our lives, or just has brought some amount of joy to us in the past, and maybe we want to share that. And if you come across them in the wild and say, "Hey, awesome shirt, dude," and they say, "Oh, thanks." But that's usually the end of the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
But both people are happy they had that conversation.
I suppose. Yeah. The Nerf
you can't
stuff.
say chase your bliss and it's a terrible T-shirt for assholes. That's to put you on breeze, but you can't say both things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's you guys know that I have a lot of restrictions on dress. That I think if more people lived their life the way that I did, there would be an awful lot less need for stores in the world, and also there would be a lot more harmony. So,
a side note, I do wear T-shirts just to see if people can get references. So I have an Arrested Development T-shirt that I am very proud of.
Oh, describe your Arrested Development T-shirt.
It's a picture in the style of Matisse's Blue Nudes, but it has cutoff jeans and glasses, and it's Tobias as a Blue Never Nude.
Matisse's Blue Never Nudes?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And I think maybe one or two people have picked it up, but it's great when you find those people.
Well, yeah, it's a shibboleth, right? Yeah.
Available now on terribletshirtsforassholes.com.
No. Okay, so I think that ultimately, my disdain rests on a very narrow band of this shit. Here is Darth Vader, and he's holding up he's wearing some kind of
holding a taco from Taco Bell.
Yeah, and it's Doritos Vader's Locos, and it's oh, come on. It mostly rests around Star Wars, Mario, and anything Joss Whedon has ever made.
Too mainstream.
To be fair, that is 90% of most nerdy things fall into one of those categories.
The principle of the thing is right. Don't identify yourself by the things you like. Have your own identity. That's great. And by a wide margin, you can use the stuff people wear as a guidepost for how deep down that rabbit hole they are. But it's tough to see someone wearing it. My brothers, love those kind of snarky T-shirts and stuff, and they give them to me as gifts all the time.
Yeah.
So I've got a collection of them.
But you only you wear them when you're in their presence, and you're hey, check this out.
Yeah, I just show them I appreciate the gift.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's just being a decent human being.
Generally try to default to if someone's not hurting someone, it's silly to judge them.
Sure.
People should just do what they want.
Yeah, and again,
people are hurting me by not wearing a Thwomp There It Is t-shirt. I am on board with that.
There we go. That's the end of that segment.
I need to see that in the wild stat.
Well, there it is. I may have to draw that up. Because we've joked about it for so long. For real though, I don't judge people who ultimately it doesn't really matter, but it's to me it does have an air of tackiness to it. But I'm not I'm not the be all end all. So that's just me being an asshole.
I know.
Oh, it turns out that even though that is a terrible shirt, I am the asshole.
Terrible shirts from assholes.com.
That's what it would be.
From our asshole ears.
I'm serious. If we decided to just run rotating t-shirt Teespring campaigns with the designs that we came up with, that's the fucking that's the fucking Armageddon code. We never want to work again, but we just put that out there.
I'm not clear on why you don't do that, because you could probably make a pretty easy profit.
Pride.
I would buy one.
Fuck that.
Fuck Pride.
Multiplayer.
Then call me Satan.
Please. All right, let's dive back in
to the mega swoop.
the multiplayer mega swoop. Hey guys,
can you do that in Sugarbone's voice?
Multiplayer mega swoop. Yeah,
so good.
I wasn't aware that was so delightful.
It's great. Thank you.
You ask and you shall receive.
We're punching tonight. This is good.
This is good. This is good. So Dennis, I've been drinking the Rye of the Tiger, the Great Lakes beer that you've been that you gave me. I cracked that open. I wanted to save it for when I was in your presence. I realized I was kind of a fucking creep for not drinking it when you were here.
Oh no, you had a lot of alcohol. There was a lot to choose from.
Yeah. Oh boy, do I have a lot of alcohol. And then David,
I've never thrown a party where I haven't wound up beer positive.
Beer positive. And then David, I have some of the Beefeater you brought here. So after I finish the Rye of the Tiger. But anyway, that
let me know.
I'll show you how it is. But yeah, the Rye of the Tiger, very delicious. It is a good beer if you're in the region. But no, the multiplayer section. So the biggest news stories of the week, we really didn't talk about them because Dennis took it upon himself with no consulting of any of us to make it the multiplayer. So there were
swapped them.
He swapped them. He
swapped
them
indeed. The swoop.
Yep. And yeah, so there are 3 games that were kind of announced or their existence was confirmed: XCOM 2, Dark Souls 3, and Fallout 4. And so Dennis, tell the people what you did.
Well, I forced them to choose between them. So you can choose one game to buy one game to rent or to play through once, and then one game to skip altogether. And we force people to do a Sophie's Choice of sorts.
Can we map these to fuck, marry, kill?
Yeah, it's totally that. Yeah.
I couldn't decide if that was tacky to put on the webpage or not.
It's probably kind of tacky, but for the primary product that we put out, I think it's less.
That's the game. Yeah, that's the game we're playing right here.
Yeah. So buy is marry, rent is fuck, and then skip is kill.
I like how Sophie's Choice is the happier option of the two.
Yep. So do we want to talk about the results of the poll before we get into individual responses? Because these are all like big games. Like these are canonical entries.
And these are games that people get fanatical about too.
Oh, fuck. Like these games become people's lives.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think we should say the results first, and then we can respond to the results and say our own.
Yeah, so let's do the poll results because not everybody who responded to the poll did a comment. So let's do the poll results, read people's comments, and then do our own.
Yep.
That sound good? Okay, cool. So for XCOM, let's do what like the preponderance of people said they would do, right? Mm-hmm. XCOM, the majority of people said skip. I'm sorry, kill.
Yes. So just under half of the people. Well, do we do it by game or do we do it by marry, fuck, kill?
I don't know the difference.
By the plurality, people are killing XCOM.
Yeah. So the majority. Let's start with. Well, yeah, we won't bury the lead. So on the skip, like what game would you never play altogether? Mm-hmm. Just under half said that they would skip XCOM altogether.
Right.
And then it was the remaining half was pretty evenly split between Fallout 4 and Dark Souls 3, with Dark Souls 3 getting just slightly more people saying that they would skip it.
No, saying that Dark Souls 3 should prepare to die.
No, out of all the skip votes, or no, I guess it was out of all the skip votes. Oh no.
Yeah, out of all the skip votes, XCOM, read a chart.
Okay. Starting over, XCOM 2 got just under half of the votes, and then Fallout 4 and Dark Souls 3 evenly split the rest.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
There we go. Whew.
Yeah, pretty close, although a larger percentage of the people who expressed an opinion about Fallout 4 said, hey, I would like to buy that. And a larger percentage of the people who chose Dark Souls 3 said, you know what, I'm going to rent that. So that's a fuck.
Yep. So as a conglomerate, Fallout 4 buy, Dark Souls 3 rent, and XCOM 2 skip.
Yeah, and let's jump into kind of some of the rationale behind that. So I'll jump in with our first one. Roop Pernew writes in on Facebook saying, I wouldn't have a problem renting Fallout 4. I played 3 and New Vegas about 1,000+ hours combined. Of course, how many hours with 1 and 2? So I can't imagine the Wasteland could show anything mind-blowing anymore. I love the series, but you'll be so overpowered with ranking anything to do with speech, and that's the only way to get everything worthwhile out of these games. I know that you can play a dumb character and other perks, etc. give options, but the talking way rather usually gives the fullest experience of the current age in the game world. So Roop is saying, Fallout 4, you can probably get a cursory glance of that by taking this kind of canonical approach, which is the Duckfeed standard, right?
Yep.
I still want that to be a shirt.
The Duckfeeds. Like, how would you visualize that aside from just putting the Duckfeed standard?
Didn't we have this conversation before?
I don't remember it, because otherwise I would have made that shirt.
My two advocates were either just come up with some sort of kind of stereotypical image of what the Duckfeed standard guy would look like. Mm-hmm. So maybe it would be a snappy guy who's chat. I don't know. For some reason, I'm imagining this 1920s film noir. So chatting up a dame while simultaneously cracking a safe and. I don't know.
You're describing like a political cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
So I'm thinking more iconic because the Duckfeed standard is speech primary, small guns, secondary, and lockpicking, tertiary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of like weights and measures with those icons that represent that. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Roop has it there. Let's see here, David. What's Sean say?
Sean says the last AAA game I played that I can think of is pretty awesome. However, given my past, I'd probably end up buying XCOM, skipping Fallout, and renting Dark Souls.
So kind of the reverse.
Bucking the trend, yeah.
Yeah, fucking the trend.
I did not say that.
I can't make that the title either because iTunes will censor it. Thank you, Apple. Yeah, I think that's a game from that's an indie game where you like it's a skydiving kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good title, actually.
It's impossible to search for, so it's actually a very bad title.
Although I feel like since they don't like most search engines aren't case sensitive, and so just put in like at least 10 A's and you've probably filtered out everything else.
Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What is it? Yeah, you're right. Wait a second. Wait, no. The first result is the encyclopedia. It is just a Wikipedia style entry with nothing but and not the game that and not the game that we're talking about, which is a reckless disregard for gravity.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually just a whole bunch of different like pseudo wikis.
Well, there goes my strategy.
Your answer. Let's see here. Ben, what does Brandon say?
Brandon says, well, I don't know if either comment is good to read. One is talking about that he can't click on the 3, and then he says he's an idiot. And that's
Brandon,
not true,
you're
Brandon.
Not an idiot. You're like a super cool dude. Like, we really appreciate your input.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
You're
well.
not an idiot.
Yeah. But it's I think that what Brandon is saying is like all of these are really good franchises and it's hard to decide.
I refuse to play your game.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like that scene from The Dark Knight. Dennis, what's Sean say?
Yeah, Sean Wagoner, other Sean, says, I cannot believe I just said I would rent Dark Souls 3, but here is why. I have been waiting for Fallout 4 for a long time. Fallout 3 was my gaming obsession prior to the Souls games. And the fake ARG for Fallout 4 last year broke my heart. Meanwhile, I've been drowning in Souls games lately between Bloodborne and Scholar of the First Sin. And I'm not sure how I even feel about a Dark Souls 3 announcement. It feels to me like it is either a really early announcement, which I'm not a fan of, or it is coming out really quickly, which I would be even less a fan of. So if I found myself in the next year holding Fallout 4 in one hand and Dark Souls 3 in the other, I would have to go with Fallout 4. While XCOM is a great game, I don't have the same level of attachment as these other two titles, so it made for an easy skip.
Yeah.
That's some real conflict right there.
Yeah.
I feel like if next year you find yourself holding Fallout 4 in one hand and Dark Souls 3 in the other, just take off running.
They can't stop you. You've ascended beyond bullets. You can vibrate through them. You're good.
And if you're holding Dark Souls 3 in one hand, Fallout 4 in the other hand, and then XCOM 2 in the other hand, you have 3 hands. What are you doing?
Yeah, long live the new flesh. Come on. So
you could have XCOM in your teeth like a pirate, yeah.
I think Fallout 4 would be better to cut people with.
I'm going to throw this out here for you guys. This is one of my favorite stingers from Advice Hot Dog. If you had to choose between a dude hanging off of a helicopter strut with a machine gun or a scuba guy with a knife in his mouth, which would you choose?
To fight?
No, I'm just going to leave that out there. To be or to fight.
Oh.
Wait,
Machine gun
guys on the helicopter as well? They're both on helicopters?
No. It is a guy hanging from a strut of a helicopter with a machine gun and a guy who is scuba diving with a knife in his mouth.
Okay.
I think I'd go with the machine gun guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like
machine gun guy. Because if you're the scuba guy and you're next to a shark, it doesn't matter if you have a knife in your mouth. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Depends on how good of a scuba guy you are.
Perhaps. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Let's Plays of the Deep or whatever, and yeah, that matchup never tends to work for him.
Dennis,
if you're on a helicopter and there's a shark next to you, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Especially if that helicopter has shark repellent in it.
Or what if the shark is flying the helicopter?
Ooh, fuck. Yeah.
So in this scenario, you're actually going all just cause. You like jumped on the helicopter to take out the shark.
Yes, although the shark is probably a bad pilot, so you might be in danger.
Yeah, but I mean, again, just cause. You'll just like zip line away.
Well, no,
Sure.
the shark is trying to pilot the helicopter into the ocean so he can breathe. He's suffocating up there.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Dennis, how about you?
No, I said it right off the bat, machine gun guy.
Yeah, I'd say machine gun
Guy.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So the duck feed standard for this particular one.
The duck feed standard 2.0. Let's see here. I'll pick up with Russell saying, XCOM actually sounds like they're switching up the gameplay, so buy that. I usually play Fallouts in one massive spree, seeing as much of the world as I can in a single playthrough. It gets the rent, but over a 3-day weekend. And after Dark Souls 1 and 2, I don't know what they could do to make me want to invest in it again.
So I think we should use this as our opportunity to talk about the news story of Dark Souls 3. Cole, I would be really interested to hear whether you are heading into this announcement with equal parts excitement and trepidation, or whether you are leaning one way or the other.
So it's good to know which direction From is heading for the next year.
So
right?
what have they said? I'm sorry.
Really nothing, and this is a rumor at this point. They're saying, hey, at E3, we're going to have an announcement that Dark Souls 3 is going to be coming out. And Miyazaki, the director behind Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne, is going to be behind this one, right? And that is worth being excited about. People have expressed trepidation, even within this very comment section, saying it's actually pretty much a bummer that this announcement is coming so hot on the heels of Bloodborne, right? The worry is that From is rushing this development cycle, but here's the thing. We don't know when this game is going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not going to be like, hey, here's Dark Souls 3 coming out in November, and it's going to be like Dark Souls 2, which is the worst game in the world. God damn it. All of you fucking suck. Who even thought that you liked this game? Right? But, there's no... there's
You lost me.
No. There's backlash against Dark Souls 2 because people say it wasn't a complete game when it came out. I am on the record as liking Dark Souls 2, which makes, that opinion unpopular. However, all that we know right now is that Miyazaki is doing it, and it's called Dark Souls 3. Maybe... who knows if they're even going to announce this. So in the absence of actually knowing when this thing is going to come out, I would say 2017, spring at the earliest. Well, that's probably enough time to make a pretty good game. So, I don't know.
See, when I hear that Miyazaki is involved, I'm just imagining like a Dark Souls Spirited Away mashup.
Yeah,
which actually works pretty well.
Well, yeah, it's more in line with Nausicaa and the So and So Forest, but yeah. So yeah, like I'm excited based on what I know, and depending on when they announce it's going to come out, then we can be worried about it, but. I kind of am always going to be excited about more Dark Souls, so...
See, I know. I feel like I definitely don't want to overstate this, but to a certain degree, I feel like... I don't know. I feel like Bloodborne was kind of the right way to make Dark Souls 3. Mm-hmm. By which I mean they've made 3 just like what would the Middle Ages be like if they sucked even more than they originally did and had zombies?
Demons, Dark 1 and Dark 2.
Right. And I feel like I liked Bloodborne being everything you wanted from Dark Souls, but with, a completely different premise. And I'm kind of disappointed that there's even going to be a Dark Souls 3. I feel like they'd be better off making, I don't know, like a Hellenistic Dark Souls, or like a sci-fi
Steampunk?
Dark Souls,
Steampunk?
Steampunk Dark Souls. Wait, no, we already have that.
God damn it, no! I was gonna stop you before you even said it.
You can effing equip your character with goggles. Anyways, but no,
you didn't win that exchange, just so you know.
Okay.
Continue.
Sure, but I mean, do you kind of know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that like part of what makes me kind of curious about this is I would like to see what, if Miyazaki is involved in this in the beginning, what he does with the themes to kind of tie things up. And if we go back to something that is more like Lordran than Drang, like I understand the people's reservations about the way Dark Souls 2 is set up versus Dark Souls 1. I think they're both worth playing, but again, like I would like to see him spend more time in this world because I think that world is worth exploring.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and like obviously, I think I mean it's obviously stupid to say that like, well, explicitly one game in a world is enough for kind of 2 or 3 in a world. Like obviously, like there's been a crap ton of good James Bond movies. There's a lot of good stories in, Star Wars. Like obviously a good world can support a lot of different stories. Although it seems to me a certain degree that Dark Souls setup a little bit makes that harder, just because it seems like it's not a world you can do like character pieces in exactly, which is how a lot of times that kind of works.
You can.
You think
it's
so?
there through the environment, and you like it's more like it depends on the scale, right? Like are you telling stories of like one particular person? Well, like it depends on if they're a mythological figure, whether they're an actual human who did great things, or whether or not they're a god who had an impact on this particular society within this world, right?
See, but it
those
seems
are the
like
characters
the problem
they deal with.
Yeah, it seems like that's the problem. You can only make a story about it if it's epic. And I mean, the kind of the way they've set it up.
It gets pretty small. Okay. And dark. Like based on their individual motivations. It's not like, and here was a battle for the virtue of the world in the very smithy of so-and-so's. Like it wasn't like that, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it seems like it's easier to do lots of stories in a setting if all of those stories don't have to be earth shaking, and rewrite the history.
Yeah. Dennis, what do you think? Being somebody who has played Dark Souls 1 and 2 but not Bloodborne, like the direction that this goes, are you worried? Are you excited? Like where are you at?
So I think my cynicism is outpacing my excitement a little bit right now, but I also think that's because I'm a bit behind on the Dark Souls series. So I haven't played Scholar of the First Sin yet, and I haven't touched Bloodborne, obviously. So I have a lot in front of me to get through. And no desire for more, because that's just more backlog. If I were through Bloodborne and Scholar of the First Sin and felt had kind of gotten those, I can't say where my thirst for more would be. So I think I'm right now I'm like here we go, yearly series, but really that's more driven by the fact of I need to catch up on the series than any sort of true judgment on how I think it'll be.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact is just if they're going to be putting these out, with with high frequency one a year or anything like that.
Yeah.
One, I don't think they can do it, and two, I won't be able to keep up, which sucks.
They're getting on like a TikTok kind of thing, right? Like with Call of Duty and like what used to be Infinity Ward and Treyarch, right?
Yeah, it seems like that never ends well.
Yeah. Eventually, Treyarch becomes Infinity Ward, and Infinity Ward goes off and does their other thing. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess my opinion has to be tempered by the fact that I'm going to be delighted in anything that prolongs the existence of Bonfireside Chat. Yeah. So the idea that this is somewhere off in the mist is something I'm going to kind of delight in, because that means that show can continue, and that we don't have to go to our backup plan, which we do have, by the way. Like, it exists. We know what we're going to do.
Has it been stated for the public?
No, it hasn't. Yeah. Do you want me to say what it is, though, for you guys?
You're going to make another game. Make another Dark Souls game yourself.
God damn it.
It's Dark Souls fan fiction.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to say what it is and irritate everybody? Okay.
Ooh.
No?
I know, right? That's the fucking that's the doomsday button right there.
See, I feel like those are the two opposite ends of the spectrum, whereas Dark Souls has, has no.
Yeah. We've gone way too far into talking about network speculation here.
Yeah.
But
So I do have to say, all joking about Spirited Away crossover, I do think the number one thing I'd like to see would be a Dark Souls type game that doubled down on Japanese folklore as opposed to a Western setting. Mm-hmm. I think that could actually be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, we have more responses to get through, guys.
Yeah, we are really, really
yes, we are.
shanking the multiplayer.
I really didn't even set a timer, so let's go through. David, what does Phil say?
Phil says, first of all, you're just plain evil, which is probably true.
These are all good games. We are evil. Dennis is, rather.
He's the most evil. Buy Fallout 4, because I could easily spend 100 hours in that game. And with the mod community, I would be going back to it several times. Rent XCOM 2. I love the first one, but I eventually got a bit burned out on it. A great game, but I think once I play through it, I'll be able to put it down. Skip Dark Souls 3. I love Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2, but with a new one coming out just about every year, I think I can wait for a bit. Also, I haven't even gotten to play Bloodborne yet, so I think I could shelve that franchise until the next entry, or just get cold drunk.
Too late, my friend. Too late.
Unless he's standing behind you right now.
No, I'm half lit right now. But no, man, it's kind of sad to hear that people I don't judge anybody because all of these are really well reasoned responses. But to hear people saying yeah, you know what, Dark Souls going yearly, nah. That they're running out of juice.
Let's hope they're not going yearly.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
What do you think about? Do you think it would be? I'm sorry, we keep tangent. Do you think it would be a win or is a win or whatever that seems like Dark Souls is kind of becoming a genre?
I mean, there are Dark Souls alikes, that fuels the off seasons.
Well. Okay, stepping out of whether Bonfireside Chat can continue to survive, do you think it's a this is a? Do you think the fact that Dark Souls is a genre now? I mean, for better for worse. Do you think that that's going to tend to produce good games that aren't in the, you know what I'm saying.
I mean, part of me says, yeah, there are lots of indie developers, especially on Kickstarter, that are cribbing Dark Souls and citing it as one of their references or whatever. But I think the bigger problem, and we saw that with the negative things about Dark Souls 2, is that you can't bottle Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that becomes a little bit of an issue, right? And so it, when people say, "Oh, this feels like it's not enough time" or whatever, I think that what they're kind of unintentionally saying or indirectly saying is, well, where was he spending his time between, the summer of 2014 and whenever this new one comes out? Yeah. I don't know. Ben, what's Ryan say?
Ryan says, "Why would you make me choose? How could you do this to me?" He says, "Buy Dark Souls 3, rent XCOM 2, skip Fallout 4. The Souls series has such a profound impact on my gaming life. I can't imagine not buying the next one, especially since I don't own a PS4, so no Bloodborne in the foreseeable future for me. XCOM is a game I always come back to and play really intensely for about a week before putting it down. Seems about right for a rental. I'm so sorry, Fallout. I didn't do this to you. The level did. I love you. I really do."
But apparently not enough. Man, you should really feel bad about that. Like you're ice cold, Ryan. Come on. I just wonder if your heart was bigger. Maybe you would have room for them all. Maybe we wouldn't have had to force you to choose.
How could you have skipped a game when we told you had to skip a game?
Turns out there was an invisible link at the bottom that says "My heart's big enough for all," and none of you were virtuous enough to see it.
None of you could even spare the time to tab through the page.
Oh man! So this is our first buy Dark Souls 3. Well,
is it?
I think,
at least in the comments, yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, it came in second. So.
Yet, have we had a first buy XCOM?
No, not yet. Yeah. Let's see here, Dennis. What does Joshua say?
Joshua says, "Your question has caused a black hole to form in my mind." I love the indictments of us that come before their answers.
It's you, us. What us? What us, Dennis?
Your accomplices now.
We're all sons of bitches.
Your question has caused a black hole to form in my mind from which no thoughts may escape. The following is my pitiful attempt at coherency from the slush that has taken the place of my brain. Buy Dark Souls 3, rent Fallout 4, and skip XCOM 2. Ouch, that was painful. I love the Dark Souls series, and while I have yet to actually complete either game, I enjoy the challenge of those games, or I enjoy the challenge those games have to bring to the table. Fallout is a series I have always felt I would and should like, but have yet to break into. This is a gap in my gaming library I would like to fill at some point, and I suppose a rental would be a good enough starting point. XCOM 2 was the hardest decision here, as I loved the tactical gameplay and how attached I became to the generic characters who form my squad. I only chose to skip this over Fallout because of its PC exclusive status so far. I don't own a solid gaming PC and won't get one just to play this game. I'm sure it will come to consoles at some point, though. Oh, there you go. Guess I'll wait until then.
Yeah, but with the information you have right now,
yeah,
that's all you can act on.
And that's all you can be judged by, really.
Like, so. I mean, that's a similar story to what I've heard with people saying, like, I'm excited about Dark Souls 3, except I really don't want it to be PS4 exclusive. Like, if it comes out on PC, then that is no problem.
Is there any chance it came out on Xbox, or is that... I don't know the background in this.
I really have no idea. Like, Bloodborne was a publishing deal between From and Sony, but I don't know about Dark Souls. So
honestly, like, other than your typical Nintendo Mario stuff, Bloodborne and the Souls series of games are the only true system sellers out there.
Yeah.
So you never know.
You never know what's going to pop up, but yeah, that is that is the best case within the last 3 years. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to pick up with Allison. Hey, Allison. Let's see here. This is a real Sophie's Choice scenario with Dark Souls 3 and Fallout 4. XCOM 2 for me is an easy skip because I never saw the appeal of the first one. Just not my genre. I feel obligated to buy Dark Souls 3 because of my investment with the franchise. The Souls games, even if they're worst, are still the best things going in games right now. But Fallout 4 is sure to be amazing. At least I'll be able to play it once. On a side note, is there an option for being that jerk who rents something and never returns it?
Brilliant.
That's between you and the Blockbuster library cop, Allison.
That depends on if you get the Cluck at Blockbuster drunk first.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So rent, that does have a whole connotation to it, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I feel
you know,
like
the
is the
hypothetical
implication
breaks down
this
at
a
some
game
point.
you want to play once?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Dennis?
I was going to say the metaphor breaks down at some point.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, just like it depends on if you're following the rules, right?
Well,
Assume that
especially
you can play
since
it once.
can you actually rent games anymore?
Gameplay.
That's still around?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's see here. David, what's Evan say?
Evan says, I'm sorry, Bethesda. Every time you tell me you've changed, that it's all going to be different. But I have The Witcher 3 now. He's a real open world game. He spends time with our side quests. He gives them the love and attention they deserve. And don't tell me you've done Gamebryo for good this time. I'm not falling for that again.
I love it when our responses are creative writing prompts. Thank you so much, Evan.
fantastic.
On as the game turns.
I worked on that show, you know.
Yep. Yeah. That's
no
actually
comment
sounds about
needed.
right.
Hey,
Yeah,
you know,
I can't like it any more than it already has been done.
I mean that is like I feel like something that informs this is like it's been 5 years since a Fallout game came out, right? Mm-hmm. And if something came in and supplanted that, like it's not really anybody's fault aside from the person who didn't release a game in 5 years.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's pretty good though. And Dennis, what does Christopher say?
Chris says, I choose buy for Fallout 4, rent for XCOM 2, and skip for Dark Souls 3. Sorry, Kole. I'll buy anything Fallout, pretty much. It's one of my favorite gaming series of all time. Choose to rent XCOM 2 because I wasn't allowed to also buy it. And skipping Dark Souls 3? How could I? Well, I played through the first one, and while it felt good to beat it, it made me so angry during it because I'm just terrible at games in general and never felt like I was really getting better, which is also why I never picked up the second one. After playing the first, I realized that it's just not for me, but I'll sure watch videos of other people playing them.
Yeah.
That is not precluded, so you can do that.
No. There's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't watch Let's Plays. Yeah. Nobody like so this is the second person who's apologized to me for not choosing buy for Darks. God, I don't care what you do. Like,
To be fair, you have a podcast about the game.
I do, but like I know you're gonna listen to it anyway because you're like huge fans. Like, there's no reason for me not to assume that you will do that. Like, I'm not gonna question your loyalty. Like, fucking don't worry. Like, I want you to do what makes you happy.
Yes, but if you, oh, damn it, you're going to have to edit this and help me with the joke. What's the horse with the chariot in Dark Souls 2?
The Executioner's Chariot?
Ah, yes, you know, if you find an executioner's horse head in your bed in the morning, you'll know what happened.
Oh, you are fucking crazy if you think I'm going to edit that. I'm sorry, man. Like,
No, that's fine.
I'm not going to spend my edit juice on that.
But it was good in concept, right?
Oh, in concept, yeah. No, you did a good job.
Just think what I was thinking, and I don't have to say it.
No,
it
it's there. See, I worry if I presented it like fully polished, then it would lose a little bit of its luster, right?
Yeah, and I deserve that for putting this prompt out there. So,
like a lot of people were pretty angry with you, and I think that what that means, and you know, this is me putting too neat of a bow on things. Like, if these things are announced in the next 2 weeks, that's a pretty good year for games, guys.
yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
It's already a pretty good year for games, I feel like.
You're just saying that because of Batman
And The Witcher.
Okay.
Ben, did you have any connection to The Witcher before you picked it up?
No.
Huh. That interests me that you are so enamored with it so quickly.
Yeah, it makes me want to buy The Witcher 3 and just not play the 60 hours that I need to of the previous games.
You totally should.
God. Wait, have you played those?
Huh?
Have you played The Witcher 1 and 2?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I assumed you meant any of the other 60 hours of
Yeah.
obligate play that you have in a given week.
Oh, yeah. No, there's that. So let's go through ours. I'm going to volunteer my
Wait,
answer.
refresh your page. Talking with the buzzer.
Oh yeah, fucking brr. Yeah, let's hit that. Takanoko says, yeah, a real Sophie's choice indeed. I chose to buy for Dark Souls 3. I hope they end this series on a bang. Rent for XCOM 2 and a skip for Fallout 4. As much as I love the last two franchises, I've really only played Fallout 3 from that series, never having played Fallout New Vegas. Might as well keep that trend going.
Good. You guys showed up in force again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Way to show up in Beast Guard.
Yeah. It's tough. This is basically the plot from a Saw movie.
Play it out safely in your head here, knowing that you will be able to buy all three when they come out.
Yeah, like they're probably not going to come out in the same month. Like you can totally get these things. Like it's going to be fine. You want to play them all apparently. So
It's going to be okay.
yeah. So I'm gonna throw in mine here first. I'm gonna say buy Fallout 4.
What?
That's right, motherfuckers.
Okay, you need to account for yourself.
Because I can take notes on Dark Souls 3, man.
You can take notes?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
No. So here's what I mean, right? Like if you assume a rental takes place over like say 4 days. If I can prepare
one playthrough.
One playthrough? Oh,
Well,
shit.
ish, yeah.
Oh man, that becomes tough then. that wasn't clear in the rules then. So
Wait, we even had this conversation where I said, are we assuming that rent means you're only going to play it once? And then Cole, you said, yes, I think that's what that means.
No, I said yes for a reasonable person.
So let's say what fits your hypothetical here?
No, okay. So what I'm saying is, like most of these Dark Souls games, etc. I probably only play like 3 to 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the Fallout games, I have a tremendous amount of affection for them. Okay, and I prefer to let those kind of breathe. Right. So if I could play through Dark Souls 3 4 times over the course of 4 days. Which is not even possible.
What?
Which I would make it happen, right? And I could take all the notes that I wanted to and then read everything. There it is. I don't know. I really, really like the Fallout series.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently.
Okay, no, I can't argue with that. That's
yeah.
That's a surprise, but okay.
Yeah, and like XCOM, like I really don't have an XCOM shaped hole in my life. Because I've never played the first set of games,
You do, you just don't know it.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's like a bunch of things, right? Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is okay. So let's take this. Okay, so let's take it as read that I'm not living the kind of life where I do, where a certain amount of the support that I get, either monetarily or kind of personally, is creating a show about Dark Souls.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I'm probably going to be motivated to play that game once and then think about it a whole lot. Okay.
Sure.
So I think that like the thing that I haven't stated is that kind of presumption, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Whereas like the majority of my like multiple playthroughs of a Dark Souls game are for the shows. Fallout has kind of taken that place where I'm kind of more willing to live in that world, and living in that world kind of requires playing it more than actually like playing a bunch of Dark Souls games.
Sure.
Over and over again. Does that make sense? Am I a hypocrite?
Well,
no, I get that.
Yeah, but not because of that. I'm sorry. I'm just joking.
No, that's fine.
So I agree with what you're saying about Fallout, but do you think you would play Fallout more than once?
Yeah.
Like I agree that it needs to breathe, but
so that's weird. Like the rental thing is so like it's so crazy because like a lot of the repeat value from Dark Souls is doing a different build, right? So if rental is shorthand for you play through only once, I can probably see everything that I want to as long as I'm doing a mindful playthrough where I'm not locking myself out of a bunch of things. But that's kind of a weird supposition to make.
Yeah, well, it's technicality.
It's analogous to Bang, Marry, Kill.
I suppose, man. So you only got one go around on that crazy merry-go-round.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's weird. So I'm gonna stand by my answer because I'm stubborn.
As a side note, Cole, I think you should definitely play the next Dark Souls games, 3 or 4 times in 4 days, and then record yourself.
I already fucking do that. I go out of my goddamn mind playing those within a week so we can start covering them for the show.
That's the other thing.
But
though,
have you
Dark
gone out of
Souls-
your mind playing them 3 times a week?
No, I haven't.
Dark
So you
Souls
have
is
a
so
point.
much more resistant to binging than Fallout is, I think.
Yeah, because Dark Souls says no, you're not going to take one more, whereas Fallout says please take one more.
Yeah, so that's another complicating factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like Fallout's kind of weird because I almost feel like I would want to do one or the other, in that I could see Fallout being a lot of fun as this binge thing where it just becomes kind of this epic adventure. On the other hand, I feel like I could, on the other hand, see it great as a game to play long form.
It's weird, right? Because Dark Souls, I play like a detective, right? Sure. I'm playing it, looking at every bit of evidence that I can to put the story together. Because for as good as the play is, and as much as that informs kind of the the story that I see, I'm more looking for the story, right? Whereas Fallout is more of a world that you inhabit.
Right, exactly.
You guys haven't answered yet, so I'm going to ask you, Ben, to throw in.
Okay, so I would probably skip Dark Souls 3. I don't think that's a huge surprise. So for me, I had a similar situation where I'm trying to figure out which one I would rent and which one I would buy between XCOM 2 and Fallout 4. So Fallout 4, I think I could play through once and be pretty happy with it, but it's very dependent upon XCOM 2. So if XCOM 2 is twice as good as XCOM, then I would be happy with owning that and renting Fallout 4. But if it was like XCOM before Enemy Within and it was maybe a little bit incomplete or maybe a little bit lacking, then I would be kind of upset if I bought it and only played Fallout 4 once. So I think push comes to shove, I think I would rent XCOM 2 and buy Fallout 4.
Okay. But buying XCOM would imply that you would then have access to all the DLC that comes after.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is Enemy Within a loophole around this, where if they release this, you can have your cake and eat it too?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Only if you research cake.
Yeah, but the development time, that is so long. If you really want to get up and running with the Satellite Rush, you can't research cake.
Satellite cake?
Satellite cake. They've kicked the radar.
I heard the best version of the cake is a lie meme that I've ever heard. Normally I want to run at the nearest person who says that and kill them.
But, and be take off that ThinkGeek shirt.
Yep. No. But somebody at work said the cake is a pie. It short-circuited me. It was so good. It was so unexpected. Yeah.
That's how they get you.
How about you, Dennis?
So this skip for me was not it was still a regretful choice, but I would skip Fallout 4 just because I haven't gotten into that series. And I don't feel like I could justify abandoning either of the series that I have experience with for a series that I'm not familiar with as much. And technically I did play Fallout 3 and I enjoyed it.
You did? You played it once, right?
I played it once and then I started an evil playthrough and then lent out the disc to a friend and never got it back. Not one of you guys. But so it's one of those things where I feel like I got a flavor for it, but at the same time, I don't have any of the history and nostalgia that other people do for the series. And so I just didn't feel like I got it on a level that would cause me to be I have to get Fallout 4. So I think I would skip that. And then rent or buy for XCOM and Dark Souls is really tough. Just because I think I would say that ultimately I would get more from exploring Dark Souls multiple times. But if I look at my habits, the game that I have gone back to more times is XCOM.
Yeah.
So it's like there's more lore wise depth, and even gameplay depth. There's a lot there for Dark Souls that you could get. But ultimately I can get that from listening to Bonfireside chat after I've played through once.
Yeah.
Or it's something like that, or reading the wikis, that sort of thing. So I think I would have to say, just based on my past behavior, I would have to buy XCOM 2 and then rent Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
But that's a conflicted decision.
Yeah, that all makes sense, and it is incredibly well reasoned. So
Yes. I had the advantage of, having the question in my mind to think about ahead of time.
yeah, you wanted to inflict your pain on others.
That's right. Yeah, I thought of this, and then my brain hurt, and then I had to bring others into the delusion to justify it. And...
David, how about you?
Sure. I think for me, the buy would be Fallout 4.
Okay.
This would be assuming that New Vegas is indicative. Fallout is really ranks up there with like my favorite games. You're the ones I overall got most from. I suppose if it went back to being like pseudo real-time strategy or turn-based strategy or whatever it used to be, like then I would definitely skip it.
But the evidence in front of you is that it's Bethesda and they're going to make a Bethesda kind of game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like assuming New Vegas is for me, kind of with the rent, it's a little weird because for me, both Dark Souls and XCOMs are innately games I would only ever play once. It's to a certain degree to me, they're both games that, like, in my mind, are kind of about survival. And so it's kind of almost... I explicitly would not want to play them more than once because, I mean, if you've saved the world, you've saved the world. If you've survived, you've survived.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to tarnish it by getting into min-maxing mode. You'd want the experience to be on your heels and not, then have it lose its luster.
Yeah, and to me, kind of the story is about surviving, not about doing well, if that makes sense. Or like, so like innately, I guess after I've played it once, the story for me is innately over. I like that. That's just an idiosyncrasy for me. I would say probably in terms of which one would be my skip, it's kind of hard because, like, on the one hand,
but you have to make a decision.
Right. On the one hand, XCOM is definitely the series I care least about. On the other hand, Dark Souls 3 is definitely the game I'm least interested in.
Interesting.
So it's the choice between what you care less about and what you're interested less in?
No, I would say it's the difference between the series versus the game.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna go with my rent would be XCOM with the hope that they do like the original XCOM 2 and make it all Shadow of Innsmouth style.
Wait, there's an original XCOM 2?
Yeah. No, the follow-up to the original XCOM
is
was
straight up Lovecraft.
like Secrets from the Deep or whatever. Like it wasn't a threat from the cosmos. Yeah. Like this this came out in like 1994. So
yeah. Underwater XCOM.
Yeah.
Or flying XCOM now.
Oh man. So yeah, that was a crazy multiplayer you just put us through, Dennis.
Yeah, that was an intense one.
Yeah. So
tomorrow's a rest day.
Yeah, I suppose. So if you would like to participate in those, that is facebook.com/the level podcast, where you can find us and those prompts, usually on Tuesday afternoons. And we appreciate everybody who has thrown in with theirs. Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we've been playing over the past week or so. And I hear tell that both Ben and David have shared a game they've played over the past little while.
Yeah, so to keep it terse, it's The Witcher 3. It's awesome, and I'm going to keep it short so I can go play that after this recording. So.
Your incentives are aligned.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go Witcher more people.
What level are you at, David?
I am not even level. I got it like a couple hours before the podcast. So
the intro video is awesome.
Yes. I have proceeded to like harass all the people in the bar, and then exited the bar and witched a couple dudes in the face.
Witched?
I've decided that in this game it's sort of like in the Smurfs, I'm gonna smurf some Smurf berries. Mm-hmm. I've decided that all verbs I do are witch.
Yeah, you're gonna smurf him right in the smurf.
Yeah. So I'm gonna witch these guys right in the face.
It's the witching hour.
I do feel like
down.
Yeah.
Continue, David.
I do feel like it a little bit stretches credibility, the degree to which like that the random townsfolk are, I guess, racist against you or whatever.
You're a fucking mutant, right?
Yeah.
A cat almost.
But like
are you licking yourself?
You're
like
are you running all nimbly pimbly from tree to tree? Like what?
You have cat eyes and you can see in the dark, but you're kind of a werewolf too. Maybe, I don't know.
Are you the Nightman kung fuing across the stage?
These are all implied. Nothing explicit. He never explicitly changes into a werewolf or a cat, at least in the game so far.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I did initially assume that that Witcher meant someone who hunts witches in the same way that like Mouser means a cat that hunts mice.
Mises, yeah. A cat who hates Mises to pieces. Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying, like, I realize in the real world, like, like humanity's had a tendency to like be hateful towards minorities, but in the real world, said minorities could not throw fireballs at people.
Right, and
like,
then,
I feel
that's
like
what makes it complicated.
It would put a damper on your clan rally if the person you're harassing starts incinerating dudes.
It would make it more complicated, I think.
I do think that there are good reasons for it. Like, well, in general, it seems like everyone hates everyone else. But then on top of that, they do kind of go into like why they don't like Witchers, as far as like Witchers have a code where they always have to take some amount of money to do a job, like by code. And so a lot of people perceive them as being kind of like cheap or stingy because of that.
Mercenary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was laid down by, the ancestral leader of the Witchers, Ayn Rand.
Yeah. No, but like I understand that makes the side quest more interesting, right? Because a huge problem with a regular RPG is that even though there is this crazy space flea out of nowhere wanting to cast Meteo on the world and obliterate everybody, you're willing to go save somebody's kitten or whatever. Like the Witcher will ignore a quest on the board saying, hey, please go save my kitten out of the goodness of your heart, because the people who are willing to stop this problem that threatens the world will pay you money for doing it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing they kind of do with this that's nice, and granted, this is like, I'm not saying anything original. This is like what every review is like, this is badass. Is the fact that they very explicitly set it up, and instead of just being like, hey, go do random side quests, they're like, oh yeah, well, you need to investigate this, so you should probably just go and like mingle with the townsfolk in order to gather information. So like the whole thing is set up to justify you running off and doing side quests.
It's like Morrowind, right?
Yeah.
Where like they say, hey, in order to blend in and not look like an agent of the Empire in this strictly anti-Empire province, go out and just like ally yourself with some guilds and do some shit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. So I can agree that both of those quests sound good, or as far as like increasing the narrative of the world. But so far there are no like fetch quests in the game though. There's no filler space, and I feel like that's the big difference between this game and other open world games.
Yeah.
There's never so far has not been a mission like go and do this 3 different times, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and does it seem to you? I actually kind of wanted to get your read. Does it seem to you like the quality of the writing is a little bit higher? Not in terms of like necessarily even story, because like there's been lots of other games that have had great story, but in terms of the actual dialogue, it seems like more effort was put in making it, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it as I said, it feels very much like Knights of the Old Republic, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where the dialogue system is solid and it has options that tie into your character's progress, like persuading.
Again, right. I will remind anybody who's listening that is super high praise coming from Ben.
Yeah. So I will say I will have one piece of small criticism, very, very small, to counteract that a little bit. The one thing that I like more about Knights than this game is with Knights, there are gates pretty much where like it'll open up, give you a bunch of side quests. You can finish them all, and then you're done with the planet and you go to the next one, right? Yeah. And then there's like closure to the map that you have. Uh-huh. They don't have that same thing here. So it kind of like blooms. You have a whole bunch of side quests, and they don't go away.
Oh, so they just kind of stick around, or there's like a bunch of chaff that's no longer worth pursuing?
There's just a whole bunch of stuff, which is it's hard to make that a criticism because like so far the content's been really solid. So it seems like a weird complaint to say that there's too much of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, perhaps a better way to say it is there's so much additional content that it is hard to stick to the main branch of the game, the main narrative. And it might be a little bit better directed if they had less side quests and made you go on and continue down the main branch. But again,
sure,
fake criticism almost,
I suppose
it's like a Ben problem, I don't know.
Well, yeah, like so I guess it's more of like a natural funneling problem, right? Where if they understood that there was going to be a kind of player who pursued the side quests to a certain point where like you eventually want to get to the main side. Right. So no matter how many side quests you did, eventually they would say like, hey, it would probably be good if you went to critical path X. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that being the case. Yeah, that's really strange. So like compared to like, so let's put these in contrast, right? Like, would you say that Witcher 3 is worse about that, or is, Dragon Age Inquisition worse about that? Like in terms of like leaving a bunch of superfluous stuff open compared to the mainline stuff that it doesn't properly highlight for you to head down, because both of them kind of sound like they're from a similar tradition, like Dragon Age being from BioWare and Witcher 3 being something that tries to be above what comes from BioWare. Like what's your read on that?
So I think the one of the big difference between the games is like a feeling of connectedness, where like in The Witcher 3, like you kind of understand the whole world and like how it's oriented around one another, and like you understand how to get from place to place, and it feels like one cohesive world. Whereas with Dragon Age, like you have these separate maps that you can go visit, and it seems like they intentionally made them like very unique locations and very like exotic locations. But the only problem with that is it feels like disconnected locations. Like the Dragon Age world doesn't feel like one world where I can walk from one part of the map to the other, It's very much like I'm going to load this area now, and this is like its own separate part of the world. Does that make sense at all?
I mean, like giving you some kind of like ontological like anchor into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas The Witcher is very like lived in, like it. Yeah, I'd say like one of the coolest features about it is the roads, like how circuitous the roads are, and so like you ride on paths with a horse, or you can ride through the forest. If you ride through the forest, there's usually monsters in the forest, and so you may have to fight people if you go through the forest. But it's such a natural map, like it's so lived in. It's really nice.
Yeah. So like, how many hours are you into it, Ben?
So I'm at level, I think 12 or 13 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think last week I was around 7 or 8. So I'm pretty on pace. So maybe a good 20 to 30, maybe. I'm not sure.
Like, do you feel like you are onto the main quest line? Like, are you consciously deviating from that in order to see the side stuff that it's putting in front of you? Or are you just pursuing what feels natural to you and seeing what takes you furthest along?
I'm doing my typical strategy, which is doing the side quest first and then doing the main branch. So they give you some reason to do that in this game, where each mission will have a level associated with it to kind of give you like a recommended level for when you should tackle it. So a lot of times, whatever the critical mission is, you might be a couple levels below that. So it kind of encourages you to go check out some of the other side quests and level up that way. So I've been doing that, but I've been trying to do like all of the low level ones and kind of work my way up. But it's starting to get to the point where it's almost not worth it to do it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's so many missions though, and there's so many world events. Like, it's insane. There's like on top of like side quests, which are usually like more like detailed. They also have like on the map a whole bunch of like question marks wherever there's any sort of like event or like monster hideout or some sort of thing built into the map. And it's just, there's a daunting amount of content there. So
yeah. So, David, how about you? Like, I mean, you're pretty close to the beginning of this. Do you feel like you are out of the initial exposition dump and into where this kind of breaks open for you to decide what you will or will not witch? Or are you still kind of on rails?
Well, have you decided which to
yes
which?
and no.
Which? Yes and no. Elaborate.
Yes and no. On the one hand, I'm pretty sure I'm still like in the tutorial, stuff like that. And also it seems like I'm still very much in the kind of part that's kind of trying to, still assuming that I've played no previous games. And it's like trying to present, just the basic ideas of like, what is a Witcher? What is his role in the world? Like, kind of how does this world work? On the other hand, as far as I can see, like pretty much from the start, if you really want to, you can just like go off and start doing side quests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like definitely I still am in the starting like tutorial, like hand-holding series of missions. But on the other hand, it appears that I can just go off and do my thing. Yeah. So.
I feel like that's pretty important, though. Like to relinquish the reins relatively early on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, especially with the sort of game they're making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, like, Ben, you being further along, and David, you... this is just me mischaracterizing probably the way you approach these games, like maybe taking a more direct approach, like where
it'll be interesting to see
just how doggedly each of you pursue the main line, because I know that Ben is more likely to pursue the side roads, whereas David, you are probably more likely to take the main route.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, it's not a value judgment, it's more of a observation.
No. I agree. It'll be interesting to see. I kind of I'm still at the point. Part of it is, and I think this is a positive thing to say about the story. Like, I'm still at the point where I need to like kind of sit down and decide what sort of person I'm going to be.
Yeah. That's weird, right? Because like with The Witcher, at least from what I've read about it, and at least like what I know about the story, is that like the canonical Witcher is supposed to be this mercenary kind of guy who is going after this kind of stuff, and there's not really like a blank slate shepherd kind of like the renegade or paragon inside of this. It feels like the mechanics of the world and the way that the value of life compared to the the overall good of society is kind of been decided for you. So is there much latitude for that to decide like how good or bad you're going to be?
my understanding from what both I've read and kind of the feeling I get is that to a certain degree it's kind of a degree to a feeling of it's like, do you want people to pay you or do you want people to like you? Or maybe more cynically to the setting, do you want people to pay you or do you want people to owe you?
I like that because pay you or like you sounds a little bit like Renegade versus Paragon, which I was never totally satisfied
I feel like
with.
It's, I feel like it sort of is a thing. Like part of it, I would say to a certain degree, I really like kind of the tagline for the game that they've kind of gone with, which is, this world doesn't need a hero, it needs a professional.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the line they walk in, that it seems like they kind of set it up where like your character isn't a psychopath. He's he's not necessarily, if you do like the demanding money, he's not like necessarily selfish so much as he is a professional. And on the other hand, it seems like from what I've seen, if you choose the more altruistic approaches, it's very similar, just a little bit more, a little bit softer. Like it seems like in much the same way that like I liked Mass Effect, because I felt like if you chose the Paragon or the whatever the opposite was, Renegade.
Renegade.
You either response, your character still seemed like a hero. From what I've seen so far, I kind of like this setup because I feel like whether you choose, kind of more the pay me money or the a little bit more heroic thing, seems like either response, you're still kind of the professional.
Yeah. Ben, how about you? Like, what's your read on that situation versus being like a complete mercenary, more or less asshole versus, being somebody who like, is there like much latitude in that? Because like the role of the Witcher seems relatively defined.
So I would say that the game gives you choice. It just doesn't have a meter to keep track of your choices,
That's cool.
So you will still come across like moral choices like you would in Knights or, I don't know, Alpha Protocol or other games like that.
Yeah.
But it's just that it's not giving you +2 good points if you choose the nice one and +5 bad points if you, like murder people or whatever.
Is it that they're not showing you that, or that they're not keeping track of it?
I'd say both. Because I haven't noticed reactions from NPCs one way or another, as far as like, people just react to how they have been written to react to you. It's not like, oh, I saw you do this thing or whatever, It's
not like your reputation precedes you. Like, oh, I heard you only care about the gold coin. Blah.
Yeah. Well, people say, that's the thing. Is people say that, but there's nothing that you have done to make them say that. You know what I mean? That's just how it's pre-written.
Hence racism.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
okay, like racism, like professionalism.
Witchism.
Yeah, like witchism.
Well,
let's pump the brakes on the racism.
I guess I'm assuming at the point where your character is explicitly like some sort of magical mutant that we can consider that a separate race.
Continue.
Witchism, dude.
Witchism? Okay, going with witchism.
Yeah, let's say witchism.
So anyway, that's all for me for now. As I said, I want to move this along so I can go play that game some more.
Yeah, I suppose so. David, do you have any final...
You say that.
Final thoughts on your experience so far, David?
The only other thing I'd say, and Cole, Ben kind of mentioned this, is I really like kind of the swag they include with the game in terms of the manual and the map and the thank you
soundtrack
and stuff like
stickers.
that. So again, stickers.
I wish that there was a digital way to approximate that. Like when you buy it, like if there was just like a little tiny browser hijack saying, "Hey, here we are. Here's who we are. We really appreciate
they should
you
send you
giving
an
this to us."
email with the picture of all the things that you get when you buy the physical copy.
Yeah, saying here's a picture of the team that worked on this, and we so appreciate you like looking at this. Here we are, our support page or our support email page or whatever, and like you've made our lives better, just like we hope we made your life better. And there you go.
The thing I was impressed by the note that they gave is apparently it only took them 3 years to make this game, and I thought that was impressive because it does feel like a really big world. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dennis, how about you? What you been playing over the past week?
I've been playing a little game called Rainbow Moon, and it is a delight. Yeah,
I've never heard of this game before.
Can the moon have
neither had I.
rainbows?
Funny enough.
Is this a PSN game? Because otherwise,
PSN
I
game.
don't know how to stereotype you.
Yeah, no, you're right on. So it's a PSN game, PS Plus game from a couple cycles back. It is cross-buy and cross-play for the PlayStation 3 and the Vita.
Okay.
And basically, it is stylistically very much in the vein of like the old school RPGs with like blue menus and text dialogue and everything like that.
Nice.
Like a 16-bit style, right?
Yes, except without the 16-bit graphics.
Okay.
So the like menu system and the overall isometric world layout is very reminiscent of old games like that. But the graphics are actually kind of more of an updated, cute, cartoony, very extremely bright and colorful world. So they haven't gone like, any bit on these graphics. It's kind of stylized and like kind of our cartoony Pixar style, maybe.
God damn it! Just fit them in a box that I can understand, Dennis.
We're gonna have to cut the game up and put it in a couple different boxes.
Okay.
That came out weird.
No. I'm looking at Google Images. Looks like fucking Farmville to me. Like appease me, appease me with your description. Appease me with your description.
There's that cough again. Must be my turn. So kind of isometric view for the world. When you go into a battle, it's a grid-based game, which is originally what got me to try it, or kind of go back in my backlog and pull it out. As I was like, okay, what grid-based turn-based combat games other than XCOM do I have at my disposal? And the battle system on this is turn-based on a grid. And it's got kind of a meter that's very reminiscent of Final Fantasy X, where kind of the characters' profile pictures show up in order.
Yeah.
So you kind of know who's going next. On your turn, you can basically take. Right now, I can take 2 moves, and part of leveling up your character is leveling up how many moves you can take per turn, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So right now I could move twice, or move 2 squares. I could move 1 square and attack, or I could attack twice. And layer on top of that, your characters can learn special skills, which is like, okay, I might have my archer normally can just shoot in a straight line, but then she's got a special skill, or shooting in a straight line doesn't cost anything, but now she's got a special skill that allows her to shoot kind of off to the right or to the left, that costs a little bit of mana, and you kind of that's how you spend your mana is on those special skills. But so you kind of your enemies also have a certain number of moves per turn as well, and the game is about kind of managing how you approach. You start on one side, your enemies start on the other, and you kind of manage how you approach, so that you're kind of forcing your enemy to move into attack range without being able to attack themselves, so that you can then maximize the amount of damage you can do on your turn. Mm-hmm. Or making sure that you're placing your tank character, in the right spot, so that when the enemy, goes after them, they'll kind of come in a straight line with your archer or what have you. So it's definitely not as complicated as XCOM, but it does kind of scratch that turn-based strategic itch, in a really nice way. And like I said, the aesthetic of the game is delightful. It's got kind of the old school vibe while getting rid of many annoying old school conventions. So you can save the game at any point, anytime. And the really nice thing is you just save it to a server, and then you can pull that save down on whatever device you want to continue playing, which is super convenient.
Between PS3 and PS Vita.
Well, yeah, any device you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
So that's been really nice. The progression feels meaningful in that you're not getting, there's not a ton of loot that drops from every battle, and typically the items that drop are feel special and rare. And I've only really found like one set of new better equipment so far. So it's not like the game is assaulting you with loot, which makes the loot that is there feel more meaningful. I'm trying to think of other old school things that it kind of does away with. Mostly it's the saving thing. The skipping through the dialogue at any point is nice as well. Mm-hmm. So you can just kind of click through. And the way it does, that's the other thing. The way it does random battles is really good as well. Mm-hmm. So on the map, there are enemies that you can actually see, and consequently you can avoid. That if you walk into them, it'll start a battle.
Yeah.
Sometimes, they're blocking your route. So it's like, hey, if I want to get from point A to point B, I'm going to have to fight at least 3 battles. Mm-hmm. But you can kind of prepare for that.
Yeah.
But then otherwise, just every once in a while, it'll pop up on the screen and say like random encounter and list out the enemies that you would fight. And you can choose whether to engage in that encounter or just ignore it. So you never have to grind a second longer than you want to.
Yeah. So here's my question for you, and this is something I've noticed because, like, I occasionally do Amazon searches for a visual novel type game, and the visual novels I play are really good, thought-provoking, kind of like cerebral kind of things. But the majority of the stuff that comes up on the SEO for those is like relationship style, like breeding simulators of like some sort or another. And usually I see like, oh, here's so and so, like I'm curious about that, and I'll click on it on Amazon thinking I'm like, oh, I will order this and play a good game. And it's like, here is a strategy RPG that has you doing this Final Fantasy Tactics type combat. But in the majority, they're trying to make you care about this like a high school dating sim that they have like over top of the SRPG combat. Like, is this one of those situations? Like, is Rainbow Moon trying to sneak in some hentai shit or
not that I've encountered so far.
Okay.
So I'm probably 5 hours into the game or so, and the story has been light so far. Okay. So you are at the beginning of the game. It's almost like not childish is the wrong word, but you are a warrior who's going into the woods to fight your enemy, and you guys like have an annual battle that you do,
like innocent, pure, not fucking creeping on high school girls.
Yeah, it's got the feel of like, hey, these are like it's your annual game of hide and go seek or something like that.
Yeah.
But your enemy tricks you into falling through this portal, and you fall through this portal at the same time as all these monsters fall through the portal, and consequently the people in the world that you fall through to are kind of blaming you, or think you are somehow associated with all the monsters who have started rampaging around, and you're trying to go and clean up the monsters and find a way back to your world.
Yeah.
So no high schools are in sight, at least so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a game called Rainbow Moon for PS3 and PS Vita.
Yeah, really, really good. The one thing I have to complain about is their torch system. And this annoys the hell out of me.
Is it like a limited resource or what?
Yes. And it lasts like 2 minutes max. So if you're in a dungeon, it's dark, you need to light a torch. And then that will last literally for 2 minutes, and then it'll go dark again. And it serves no purpose other than I have to pause the game and go into the menu system every couple of minutes. Huh? It's super, super annoying.
Go into the menu system to relight a torch or to reload a save?
To relight a torch.
Okay.
And I haven't gotten to the point yet where I've run out of torches, and I'm screwed if I ever do, just because the game would be unplayable. But it's just really annoying, and it breaks up the flow of the game.
God, that's gross.
And yeah, and I finally got a skill that was like cast light, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that was really annoying. I could get the trade off of I'll pay 1 mana. It's a cheap skill in the overworld. And that'll just light it kind of permanently. But no, that only lasts as long as a torch does. Mm-hmm. So it's worse than a torch, because otherwise, a torch is useless. And now you're asking me to pay mana for the same benefit.
Mana being a resource that you use in your battles.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like, what the hell were you guys thinking when you put this in? Like, it's not fun. It breaks up the flow of the stuff that is fun. You're not like constraining me, so there's no strategy around how I use them. It's just breaking up the game. So that's annoying. But other than that, if you can look past that, which if the torch is lit, you can look past anywhere. But if you can look past that, it's a nice little turn-based strategy game that is kind of that XCOM light itch that I was looking to scratch.
Yeah. Here's my question for you, Dennis. Have you played Final Fantasy Tactics yet? Like, for fucking real?
I started it and bounced off of it hard.
Oh, wow.
Just like, I think I got through maybe the first battle.
Huh.
Yeah, and I can't even remember what it was that I didn't like about it. Uh-huh. I think it was like, this is what it is. The ports of PSP games to the PS Vita tend to have some really wonky ass stuff going on with just the way the controls are mapped. And it has to do with like shoulder buttons and touchscreens. It's weird.
Like the PS Vita doesn't have any buttons that the PSP doesn't.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what it was about the way it was, way it changed.
Like I'm really curious, because like FFT is like one of the best games I've ever played. So for somebody like you who nominally really loves these kind of games, like I really want you to enjoy this thing that I really enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to like I said, I'm trying to remember what exactly it was that turned me off of it. Mm-hmm. But I remember playing the first battle and being like, and then I didn't go back to it, and then I eventually needed the space, so I deleted it. And I remember at the time thinking, it's wonky because it's a PSP port.
Yeah.
Maybe that was unjust. I don't know.
I mean, I could see that for like issues of slowdown and stuff, but like, I don't know. Maybe a bunch of my goodwill towards that particular game, because it comes from my goodwill towards the Final Fantasy series, and like you possibly don't have that.
No, not really built up.
Well, like, and you like, oh, like it's really cool though. There's a job system built into this, whereas you don't really see that if you don't understand what like a red mage is.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get far enough in the game to even get to that and not understand it. Like, suffice to say, I bounced off of it hard. I don't really remember why. Mm-hmm. It could have just been I had an embarrassment of riches in terms of other games to play at the time.
Understood. Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling retro at that point. But this game has confirmed that I do indeed like this type of game and not just XCOM. So maybe after playing Rainbow Moon, it's worth going back to Final Fantasy Tactics.
I mean, I would encourage it because I like that game. Again, like this isn't like a snob thing. This is a I want you to like the thing I like kind of thing. So,
no, I'm down with that.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Yeah, David, Ben, do you have any
questions? Other people have, yeah.
David, Ben, do you have any questions about Rainbow Moon?
I just want to reconfirm: no hentai, right?
No hentai, indeed.
No hentai.
David, how about you?
I love the art style. I love that the art style does not include naked high schoolers. Mm-hmm. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah. So as a fan of hentai, guys, I'm going to talk about Danganronpa. Oh man, I am so about these barely legal Japanese girls.
Aw, don't paint Sugar Bones that way. Sugar Bones is a pinnacle of the blues community.
Sugar Bones sings from the heart, okay? I can't control where Sugar Bones' heart is. No.
Did we just turn Sugar Bone into Bill Cosby?
Oh no! I told you guys that. Listen, I've mentioned this in like 3 other podcasts. Like, you guys know that I worked in Bill Cosby's dressing room from the Cosby Show, right?
No.
What? No.
Yeah, when I was an intern on As the World Turns, okay, where As the World Turns filmed when I was working for them, JC Studios in South Brooklyn, the production office was Bill Cosby's dressing room, like way back when. Okay, so like, you know, in 2009, I thought like, hey, Bill Cosby, here's like an awesome guy that I totally respect, and then, as of like a year ago, it really made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway, so Danganronpa. I love this game an awful lot. So this is the PS Vita. I feel safe in saying like visual novel of choice. You can buy this. It has a retail release. Like, this is the real game that you go for if you're looking for that kind of thing. I finished it kind of in record time. Like, you know, I talked about it last week, and I was maybe like a case in. Like, I beat it like 2 days ago, and this is good.
Did you murder somebody?
No. Like, I solved a bunch of murders. Like, I feel really good about my, mystery solving capabilities, even though this is stealing a lot of, like a lot of notes from Phoenix Wright and 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, right? Like, there's a bunch of stuff.
Now, is that just because it's in the same genre?
Kind of. I kind of feel like there's just a limited set of tricks around that. Kind of like if you're, reading mystery novels, you're going to know, like, if the person was drinking their drink real slow, maybe the ice cubes were poisoned, and that's why nobody else got poisoned besides this person who, was a little bit like nursing their drink, right? So, like, you're going to notice those tropes and everything, so it makes a little bit of the mystery, kind of easy to solve. But, like, I liked Danganronpa 1 enough to, like, when I saw, here's the final chapter, I quit the game and bought the second one so that I could start playing the second one right when I finished playing the first one after it downloaded, right? And, like, so the joke about the hentai thing is kind of not a joke, because the main antagonist of the series, that Monokuma or whatever, he says some pretty creepy things about girls who are in universe underage, right? So you're going to see that, but it falls under this is not meant to titillate, at least for somebody of good and sound mind, and it's more meant to really send you into fits of discomfort, and so I can kind of subscribe to it. Right. But Danganronpa does enough for me to make it worth playing as somebody who is kind of hungry for good visual novels. I wouldn't say it's better than 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, or even Virtue's Last Reward, just because I feel like those hold up better in a thematic sense. Right. So, so each of those is, like the conceit is you're going through a series of motions, and kind of like the rule set that you're operating under is serving a larger purpose that the macro plot kind of bears out and says, here's why you're doing it. And in Danganronpa, that isn't as satisfying as 999 or Virtue's Last Reward for me. However, where at least the first Danganronpa kind of satisfies me is in individual motivations for each of the characters, right? Like, it fleshes them out in kind of a more realistic way. And I think that where that kind of picks up is that you never know when any particular person is going to die.
Okay.
Whereas in 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, that is a little bit kind of trickier to figure out. And so as you're going around and, even if you don't get a lot of like time to spend with a particular character, if they die, you figure out what they were trying to accomplish in that world. Right. And this isn't spoiler, rich for anything except for that series, which I really like, the series Escape. But in Danganronpa, because anybody can die at any particular moment, it makes the stories that they have to tell you, or the experiences you have with them, more valuable, right? And so I think that makes it kind of a little bit more engaging on the kind of moment to moment, whereas on the whole, either 999 or Virtue's Last Reward is a little bit more satisfying in the grand view. Right. Does that make sense? Am I talking nonsense?
No, that makes sense.
It's harder.
No, I don't think
It's
so.
harder for me to visualize because I haven't played any of these 3 games. But what you're saying makes sense if I would have played them.
Mm-hmm. It's hard, right? Because you can say, like, it's hard to say, here is this anime stereotype, which we've talked our shit. We've talked our fair share of shit about anime in the past so years, but like it really kind of works in this sense because it feels like it's part of a whole, as opposed to cribbing from something else that is a ThinkGeek t-shirt, right? It feels genuine in a way.
Wait, I also like anime. Wait a minute.
It feels genuine.
What are we trying to say this episode?
It feels genuine in a way that a pure genre piece does not, right? And even though we're talking about something that like is kind of a purely Japanese touchstone, like a high school where only the best of the best, like we got fucking Jiro Dreams of sushi up in this piece, right? Like you're the ultimate so-and-so, the ultimate so-and-so. Like there's, like you really only engage with the ultimate baseball player in the most anime of senses, right? But it plays out in a way that, kind of works for you if you're reading it and not, if you're reading it and throwing away your cynicism about, the stereotypes that come along with it. And I would fully recommend anybody who owns a PS Vita to like at least play the first Danganronpa. I can't speak to the second because I've only played like the first. I've only like basically played just the preamble, to that. And there are differences which I guess I'll get to in later weeks or whatever. But like Dennis, I don't know if you're interested, but I have like a physical copy of the first Danganronpa that I can like give to you if you want, but I don't want to force it on you. But like as somebody who
I'll tell you what.
Good.
I'll tell you what we'll do is I have a physical copy of Tearaway that has literally sat in my Vita since I got it 2 Christmases ago because I've never bought another physical game. So I'll take that out and give it to you. You take the Danganronpa one and give it to me, and then we'll have justified the actual physical game slots on our respective Vitas.
Yes.
And no one needs to get the other drunk.
I was surprised, Dennis. I was surprised you didn't take anything from me, honestly, over this past weekend.
Oh, you haven't found it yet.
Okay, cool.
Or haven't failed to find it yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless you guys have any other questions, like it's hard for me not to wholeheartedly recommend Danganronpa 1, the Trigger Happy Havoc is what it's called if you're searching for it. Like it gets a little bit tricky to find which one we're talking about because it's a weird kind of sprawling series. And I'm dipping my toe into, the second one, Goodbye Despair, but I don't have enough to say about it right now. Do you guys have any questions about that series or that game or whatever?
Actually, I have one question, although I don't know if this one you can answer. You kind of mentioned, some of the stereotypes and kind of conceits of the anime stuff. With 999 and Virtue's Last Reward and this and stuff, like is the whole like let's do visual novels as like Saw stories? Is that a thing?
You know what? It's weird for me because like these are both developed by the same team. Not the same team, I guess.
Okay.
Like the director and writer is different, but both 999 and Danganronpa are developed by Spike Chunsoft. Okay. So it's the same studio, if not the same creative minds, right? And you can see points where one informs the other. Where the work that 999 laid down, began, like created a starting point for the Danganronpa team saying, okay, let's work in some Phoenix Wright angles to this and streamline the gameplay and make this other thing. Right. Sure. So it's hard for me not to say that's not kind of a genre because the evidence shows that like that really works. So if you're asking me like, is the battle royale meets Saw thing not, a total, like a total trope at this point? I can't say it's not, because kind of my two favorite visual novels to this point follow that mold.
Sure. Yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, is that just this development team, or is that like, like culturally a common story, or like genrely a common story, or what? So I don't know.
I mean, maybe there's a zeitgeist around teenagers trying to kill each other, but like even 999, there's really not an awful lot. Like not many of those people are teenagers, so it's hard to lump that in with the with the Hunger Games set. You know?
Sure. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Say again.
You had something to say earlier, and I cut out the interruption.
Yes, and I forgot in that small space. I've forgotten what it was.
Okay, you guys want to bun it up?
Yeah, dude.
I want to say yes, except I know that I'm going to remember what it was I wanted to ask you the second I say yes. So
that's in the future, and this is in the past.
Yeah, let's button it up.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. This has been episode number 107 of The Level. If you want to participate in the conversation, that is at facebook.com/The Level Podcast, where you can see the multiplayer prompts. You can leave us a rating or review on iTunes. I know that every single podcast in the entire world says do that, but it really does help. Like, that is some kind of non-measurable, metric that does help podcasts be seen. So if you've been listening for a while and don't participate in the iTunes ecosystem, that is a way that you can benefit us with only a very little bit of effort. More so, if you are in the southwestern Ohio, Cincinnati area, on June the 15th, that is a Monday at 7 o'clock, myself, Dennis, and David are going to be at Habit's Cafe at 7 p.m., and then we're going to be going to the PlayStation Experience at the Oakley Cinemark, I guess, movie theater? I don't even know, to watch the Sony PlayStation Experience. And you can get in on that just by kind of showing up. Dennis, am I missing anything?
No, if you post on the Facebook page, I do have an extra ticket if you want to be sure you can get in. Although I would guess that if you have a wait list, which you can get just by going to the site and signing up, if you have a wait list and show up, they'll probably have space for you.
Yeah. So yeah, regardless of whether or not you intend to go to the Sony Experience or whatever that is, Habits is going to be a pretty good time, and we're going to be there. And I think it's going to be fun. Yeah. So that's all the admin. I've been Cole Ross at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at DFuria on Twitter.
I've been David Moneysmith at Moneysmith777 on Twitter.
I've been Ben Merkel at Merkelizer on Twitter.
And I've been Sugarbone doing a podcast.
I'm glad I expected that correctly.
Oh man, how can I resist Sugarbone?
How can anyone resist Sugarbone?
Oh, that's been the first one in a long while that has been that has been self-evident.
Yeah.
I had two kind of like bad titles around that. My father's house has many mountains, and or lack thereof. So
yeah, definitely Sugarbone.
Definitely Sugarbone.
It sounds like you're trying to sing the Wire theme from season 2.
Well, that's Tom Waits.
Exactly, yeah.
When you walk through the garden, better watch your
you know what it's reminiscent of?
What?
Bubs from Homestar Runner.
Oh, it kind of is.
Yeah, that's a little bit Tom Waits here, right? Well, hello there, Homestar.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it was like kind of at the back of my mind, like it's Tom Waits and it's something else. But there you go.
No, but like Bubbles/Bubs has been my favorite character in most works. I think Bubs is my favorite character in Homestar. Bubbles is my favorite character in The Wire, and Bubbles is my favorite character in the Trailer Park Boys.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I've seen one of those. I need to see The Wire. That looks good.
It's super worth it. Like, I know I resisted a long while, Ben, but I would wholeheartedly recommend, like, especially if like you looked at like this is a super weird comparison to make, but like a while ago you said like, oh, I really like Gone Home because it changed the way I looked at things. Like, The Wire will change the way you look at cities
and television shows.
Yeah, I really the guy who I know wrote it, a producer, whatever. The guy who's responsible.
David Simon.
Yeah, I read some of his political, some political articles he wrote, and was really, really impressed.
Yeah, he's super sensible, and he's hard to pin down, but he's like very humane in a way that you wouldn't expect somebody as successful as him to be. At least I wouldn't expect somebody as successful as him to be.
Sure.
So. All right, guys, I need to go to bed.
Yeah, same here.
Good times tonight.
Night, guys.
Yeah, I know, right? Super
Good
pumped.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have a good week, everybody.
All right. See you guys.
Yep, definitely. See you guys.